I'm British and a lord. Girl, I want you to be one.
Digital SLR.
Welcome back to WessinTheWorld. I'm Wes. I'm currently in your world, and we're back. Another episode of WessinTheWorld, and what we've got today is basically an interview with Alex Bird, an artist from Wolverhampton, who's currently working on an exhibition for key workers. So people that worked on the front line in the NHS whilst the pandemic was going on. Very, very highly regarded heroes of the day. Not congratulated through, their service, we stood outside, congratulated them. Not being congratulated with keeping their jobs because, our government has recently just axed a lot of student nurses that helped us through the pandemic. And obviously that's our government. That's just our government. That's just the way that it works. Is that they'll ask people for help for a long period of time, and then they'll throw them back to where they belong, where they think they belong. Well, where the Tories think they belong, which is back on the streets. It happened with the Windrush generation, when we helped, obviously, black people helped after World War II to rebuild England. And then later we instituted Brexit, which had amongst its stipulations is pushing the Windrush generation back to where they originally were born, which is ridiculous. Because I have friends that are part of that Windrush generation, and their children wouldn't be allowed to stay here. So yeah, that's the way that it is. But key workers, thank you very much for everything that you've done. And Alex, his exhibition is a beautiful commemoration of your hard work. It doesn't go anywhere near the thanks that you deserve. But here's the interview that I had with Alex about his key work, the materials that he's using, the art style that he's using, and just a conversation about art in general. Because art, as described by Terence McKenna, if the artist cannot find the way cannot be found. And we see this in, even an example at The Simpsons, predicting the future through the human imagination. And if you have any disbelief about whether The Simpsons predicted the future, please do look online. Simpsons predicted the future, type it into Google, and there's about 20 examples of which they have described the future. It's weird, but that's art creating reality. Art pushes science. Science does not push art. Just because art needs to go there in order for science to be able to reach up to that. Because theories and things like that, even a theory about how things work is art. You have to write it down, and that's an idea came from your mind onto a piece of paper, and it inspires others around it to actually build this thing. So yeah, art's an amazingly powerful thing, but one thing that I think that it's more powerful for, or one thing that I think it's most powerful for, and this is related to my lifestyle as well, and teaching mindfulness, teaching calmness, and teaching meditation, is that art brings you into the moment. It pulls you out of the future, pulls you out of the past, it brings you right into the present moment. So you're looking at that piece of art, and everyone around you is looking at that piece of art. And there may be background noise trying to pull us into the future and the past, but right at that moment, when you're listening to that song, when you're looking at that picture, when you're looking at that painting, when you're watching that TV show, what do all these things have in common? They're all called escapism, which is the idea that's pulling you away from worrying about your life in order to funnel your attention into a specific activity in your life. The demonization of escapism is very bad and very prominent in our Western culture, because you want to drink coffee. Gotta drink coffee. We want you to go faster. We want you to fucking work till you're dead. That's what we live in. And there's no two ways about it. That's exactly what we live in. Yeah. So, in order to escape, allows you to be able to re-inject yourself back into life after the escape with a fresher perspective. without identifying with your problems, without identifying with your trauma, without identifying with your depression. You take a break from what's going on up here, which is affecting how you see what's going on out there. And then when you come back to life with a new, you may have realizations that have, restructured the way that your brain sees the world. But for the most part, art is progress. Art is pushing the mind. Art is going outside the box. These artists, they're risking losing their mind to go outside the box, to come back, to inform the box. And the box is not grateful. The logical-minded people of our generation, there's still a massive amount of unappreciation of the arts, and I think it's garbage. It's garbage. It's absolute garbage. But there are the underfunded arts has been given a massive boost because venues and whatnot have received 1.3 billion, I think it is, from the government. But obviously that's going to be handed out to Conservative friends first. The Royal Albert Hall, all these royal royal venues will see the top half of that money because they're considered, historical and prolific, Whereas if it's like, Greenfell Tower burned down with actual people in it, there's no international fundraising going on. But then you get Notre Dame, and there's a worldwide panic, people in tears, sending millions to get Notre Dame built, or Notre Dame rebuilt. That's the state of the play, guys. That's the state of the game we're playing. But you don't have to worry about the world's events anyway. You don't have to worry about what's happening outside. If we become calm, if we become clear of perspective, then we ascend above good and evil. We ascend above black and white. We ascend above racism. We ascend above all of these little things that are made to divide us. We ascend above them. Now that's not a hierarchical thing. You can't look at a racist and say you were below me, because there is no hierarchy. I mean, biologically, your mind wants to structure the world into a hierarchy. That's a good view, that's a bad view. But essentially everything is one, everything is there, everything is. When you're looking at a view, don't compare it to other views, because then where you put shine, you also put shade. And this is a Zen Buddhist principle, that if you look at something and say that's good, you're comparing it with something that you think is not as good. When eventually, effectively everything is the way that it is, and when we can accept that, we are able to live. Because I was saying the other day to my friend, we had a really good discussion about how is it possible to accept what's happening in the world. Easy. You have to know that you're not agreeing with it when you accept it. You have to accept everything that you are, everything that you're not, everything that the world is, everything that the world is not yet. You have to accept all of that, because if you don't, you'll go into the world and it will annoy you, and you will constantly be criticizing the world and putting more dark energy out into the world that it doesn't need. What you want to do is you want to go out and just pick the things that indicate progress. When I see people, I see gay people, I get really filled with pride that they feel comfortable enough to be gay out in the open. That's something that I really want to point out and elevate, because that points towards a more progressive world. Some people are happy with the way the world that is. Some people are happy with the way the world is, the way it is. But they usually end up being white people. Well, I'm just saying, for brown people, it's a different experience. And unless you're brown, I don't think you can really criticize that. You may have a few black friends that you've made friends with to fulfill some sort of quota to indicate that you're not racist. But still doesn't mean you're not racist. And I'm not I'm not saying that I'm not racist. I think everyone's racist. Everyone sees a specific type of person on a different level to what they are. I had this massive realization when I went to Spain, and just because people don't understand you doesn't mean that they're not smart. I had to realize that. It's just they were speaking Spanish. And I was the stupid one because everyone speaks Spanish and I don't. That was a big thing for me to accept. But anyway, I digress. Too much. Where are we going with this? What are we saying with this? What are we going to do? Here's me and Alex discussing here the other day about art and the materials that go into art and the processes that actually constitute what art is, because I think that beauty is in fact going to save the world. And if you don't think that beauty is going to save the world, just look at all of the great pieces of work and art that have inspired people to make great change, to take that leap of faith. And you may be convinced that the invention of the weapon didn't change the world. The invention of the tool, which then was later used as a weapon by simple people that knew that thought that destruction was more productive than progression. And this is what we have to start seeing. We have to start seeing things that indicate progression and start ignoring things that indicate destruction. And I find that, with Trump, if you could throw something negative at him, he's really good at flipping that around. You're just not going to defeat him on a negative level. If you said that I'm really proud of you for what you've done, all the good things that you've done in your life, it may flip his mindset to a different... No one's ever tried it. No one will ever try it. We'll never really learn about the full history of the Nazis because, for some reason, for very obvious reasons, they've been demonized. But, Hitler's kill count is not really that high, considering all the tyrants. Pol Pot's way worse. Remember him. A lot of people do, but a lot of people don't. But anyway, I digress. We have to look at the things that indicate progress. We have to raise up the things that indicate progress. And we have to deny and ignore the things that indicate destruction. Now, I'm not saying you should ignore violence. I'm saying we should ignore racism. Even the people that are receiving the racism don't react with violence, because unfortunately that's taking a tool and turning it into a weapon. You had a tool, which was the progression of race relations and equality, and then when you react to racist with violent tactics, you turn that tool into a weapon, and then you're just two people fighting with weapons. You both look as bad as each other. So yeah, don't fight with weapons. Fight with tools, because tools build and weapons destroy. And what me and Alex talked about the other day is the weapon of art, and we can weaponize that. We could, well, I'm totally defeated my point. Not weaponize it, use it as a tool for progression. Love, you can use that as a tool for progression. We just need to know what we're doing. We just need to know what we're putting out there. And as my mother says, and as my mother is correct, and as all mothers are correct, if you can't say something positive, don't say anything at all. And I know I've said a lot of negative things in this video, but I'm a work in progress, okay? I am not the god tier of human morality, dudes. You all know me. Y'all know me. But compassion, saying that you love people, saying that you're proud of people, trying to do that a little bit more is what I am doing as a tool to try and fight back against this whole sarcastic banter sort of culture that we've built up, where I'm more comfortable to call you a cunt than I am to say that I love you. When the first statement is less true than the second statement. Why are we Why are we replacing things that are untrue? Your friend's a knob, and replacing it for things like "I love you," "I'm proud of you," "you make me laugh," because it's going to make them feel weird. It's going to make them feel loved. It's going to make them feel the unity that we should have felt all this time. Who knows? Anyway, so interview this way. Thank you very much for joining me. Stay blessed. Don't stress. You never know what's next, and it's exciting. It's never scary.
In the company of wolves, will I make it through the night? If I stay with you all night, when I'm out there on my own.
Oh yeah, we in the motherfucking place tonight. Show's about to start, guys. Everybody get to your seats.